NTV.
A very warm welcome for those that are just joining us. We are into our Tech Note, a discussion on strengthening the rule of law in Uganda. The Uganda Law Society will commemorate its 15th annual Rule of Law Week. It is actually commemorating it already because it began on the 13th and will be running to the 17th, which is tomorrow. And the theme, advancing the fight for human rights, the critical role of security agencies, and it will be climaxed by the Rule of Law Symposium. The symposium will entail a keynote address on the selected theme and an interactive panel discussion by relevant actors. Participants at this event shall include distinguished security, socio-economic and political actors. We are now going to be talking about the week itself, but also the state of the rule of law in the country. I'm joined by the Chief Executive Officer at the Uganda Law Society, Moses Okwalinga. Many thanks for making it.
Thank you very much.
First and foremost, what is the Rule of Law Week? What is entailed in it before we can get into the nitty-gritty of whether actually there is rule of law in our country?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Again. The Rule of Law Week is basically a concept that was introduced by the Uganda Law Society to commemorate the strides we've taken with the rule of law. And we've been celebrating it for this is the 15th year.
15th year.
And it mainly started around the month of October when we are celebrating our independence. And it has gone on where every year we take stock of how far we've gone as a country.
That's right.
And as a profession regarding the rule of law and good governance.
Okay.
And the Law Society takes it as a key mandate because it's not just something that we do, but it's a statutory mandate. Under the Act, we are required to advise government on matters of the law and good governance, as well as promote rule of law and access to justice.
Okay.
So it's a key mandate for the Uganda Law Society.
All right. Apart from being a ritual, so to speak, that is annual, the choice of theme for this year must be addressing a particular concern or trend that you have noticed. Advancing the fight for human rights, the critical role of security agencies. The security agencies, especially the Uganda Police, has often found itself on the receiving end of accusations of being a violator of rights, to the extent that report after report seems to have the police already edited out and on that particular list. When you talk about advancing the fight, how effectively do you intend to get the security forces or agencies to be more concerned about human rights than actually violating them?
Well, it's an ongoing discussion. You've hosted our president on several occasions, Mr. Bernard Oundo,
yeah, sure,
who unfortunately has not been able to be here today. And we've spoken about these issues, how we've advised. We not only have a role, but we also have a statutory mandate to advise government.
That's right. And
the security forces are part of government. We've constantly had engagements with them at various forums and pointing out the law. And the good thing is they know the law. We've also engaged them from their legal departments as well as the various stakeholders. And we've constantly had an engagement that, okay, we know that you have a duty to implement, but your duty can still be implemented within the confines of the law. We've also gone ahead and our president has released statements whenever there have been abuses of human rights, where we are saying, okay, government, this can be done, but this can be done in a better way. We've also gone ahead to advise, because we don't only advise government, but we also advise the public on having a level of restraint and working within the confines of the law so that people avoid finding each other within the conflict of the law. So these have been ongoing engagements, which have not started today, in various forums, through actual engagements with heads of these institutions, through other forums, through meetings, through advocacy, through press releases, among others.
Okay. So in light of advancing human rights, since the promulgation of the Constitution in 1995, we've had the Human Rights Commission that has been established in order to move this particular endeavor forward. Many times it has found itself in a spot of bother on execution of its mandate. Recently we had one of the top honchos there claiming intimidation. I do not know whether the Uganda Law Society has had any of those claims, and if it has, how can that be addressed when the custodians in the fight for human rights in the country cite intimidation by security agencies?
Well, we don't speak on behalf of the Commission. We've had reports.
Okay.
We've had the comments on intimidation, and it's a matter that we don't know how it was resolved eventually.
Okay.
But what we can say is that occasionally, as the Law Society, we've called upon government to respect the law and allow institutions that are mandated to execute a duty to perform their duties, because that's what the rule of law is all about. The rule of law is a country that is governed by the law or that follows the law. So our call has always been that government, please follow the law. And if the law requires that the Human Rights Commission is independent, so be it.
Okay. So the week began on the 13th.
Yes.
It's ending tomorrow. That's when we have the Rule of Law Symposium.
Yes.
So from the 13th, just take me through what happened on the 13th, 14th, yesterday, the 15th, today, and of course, what's going to be happening tomorrow. So that those who are out there and want to be part of this particular engagement can understand how they are factored in.
Okay, thank you. Well, we started with the week, and we've done activities that impact on the public. We've done sensitizations within prisons to sensitize the prison population on issues of the law and the rule of law.
That's right.
We've been to Chitalia and Luzira in Kampala, and we've done so in 10 other prisons up country, where we have regional offices in the west, in Soroti, in Gulu, in Arua, and in Jinja. And we've done that in the various prisons. We've also gone to the market, sensitizing the community about the law and the rule of law. We've also had various engagements on media, with the media. We've been on various radio talk shows and TV shows talking about the issues of human rights and the rule of law, which is the theme of this week. We've also had engagements. We've set up rule of law clubs in various universities and schools of law, as many as 25. And in each of those schools, there's an ongoing discussion, a debate on issues of the rule of law, where we believe that the students are a catchment area. They're good champions of the rule of law. If we begin at an earlier stage, then they're in position to pass on the right message.
Okay.
And it will be climaxed with our Rule of Law Symposium, which will largely be online, where our members will take part, as well as we've invited a panel, a very diverse panel, right from government, security, civil society, and other stakeholders to have a discussion on this issue. How can we make the human rights situation better? Despite the focus being the critical role, we are trying to. The reason we are focusing on security is because we can't ignore the reports that have come out. So we need to have this discussion with the right people and say, guys, what can we do better regarding this situation? It's not a blame game, but a discussion on how do we make this better.
Talking about making things better, the Commissioner General of Uganda Prisons is reported lamenting what he says is congestion in the prisons, and that is, of course, impacting on the rights of inmates to have accommodation and also live in a healthy environment. It's understood that infection rates for hepatitis B and tuberculosis are increasing across the prisons. This is a fundamental rights issue. He has said that congestion is a problem for the prison service, and is this a conversation that shall be captured at the symposium?
Yes, it shall be, because congestion and the rights of inmates is a human right.
That's right.
We have on various forums, right within the judiciary, as well as engaging our stakeholders, discussed the issue of congestion within the prisons. We've also advised them that there are other ways of corrective measures. When you go to other countries, community service is a very big thing. We have a community service program. So we've constantly encouraged them to utilize that so that we reduce on the congestion, as well as we have a number of petty offences. Us as the Law Society under the Legal Aid Project, where we support the communities, we have a partnership with UN ODIS, with the UN Office of Drugs and Crime, and it's specifically targeting petty offences, so that you clear those out of the system, because you find that petty offences are 3-6 months, but if a person stays on remand for 6 months, he would have basically served this sentence.
That is right.
So it's a discussion that we've been having with the various stakeholders, the judiciary, the prisons, and how do we reduce on this. And I'm glad the judiciary is doing something about it. They've been organizing sessions. They've been encouraging the use of plea bargaining. They've been encouraging the issue of community service. So it's an ongoing discussion, and we believe that a solution should be found. But also, we must be alive that the fact that our population has grown.
Yeah.
But prison has also not increased its capacity as much as it should be. They have made efforts, but more needs to be done.
More needs to be done.
Yes, because most of those facilities were intended to accommodate a much smaller number than they currently have.
Okay. Across the country, access to justice is curtailed by cost. Uganda Law Society runs the pro bono initiatives, that is legal aid services, but concerns have often been brought forth on the nature and the rollout of this particular initiative. Just throw a little bit more light on that and how effective it is in ensuring that those who are unable to meet the cost of lawyers can be able to access justice.
Well, we run the biggest non-state legal aid scheme in the country with 22 offices regionally.
Yeah.
And this service is available with the support of development partners, right from JELOS to the Irish Embassy to the Netherlands Embassy, among others, who are our development partners, who put funds to support the cause. And it's also our way as advocates, as a society, to give back. Now, our services, we categorize the services mainly to benefit people who cannot afford. So our category is indigent, people who can't afford, marginalized by situations, and vulnerable. So if a person falls within that category, then definitely they qualify for a service. Now that's just legal aid, but we also have pro bono. Pro bono is a statutory mandate. It's within the law. Each lawyer is supposed to give back 40 hours of free work. Now we ensure that these lawyers, we give them an opportunity to give back by ensuring that each of them is allocated a file to handle the file on a free basis. So it's all about these people approaching us, and we find the right people to help them at our various offices. But the service is available despite the various challenges that have been there regarding funding of the sector following the closure of DGF. But we've been able to find the resources to be able to extend the necessary support.
Okay. Now, very recently, the Uganda Law Society held its annual conference. During that particular event, the president, Bernard Oundo, was given a vote of confidence. And, of course, that means his entire team will also be able to. What is the thrust going forward for Uganda Law Society? I know there are challenges that you face, and there are aspects that you seek to drive, but the nation or the country is grappling with a whole range of issues, socio-economic challenges, issues about rights, hence the need to advance the fight for human rights. What is your thrust going forward as Uganda Law Society?
Well, the Executive Council of the Uganda Law Society got a renewed mandate in the month of September to serve a one-year term. Congratulations on that. And it's the governing body of the society with the mandate of the membership headed by Mr. Bernard Oundo. And their key mandate has been, the institution has a statutory mandate. Okay. So Council is still very committed to ensuring that they execute their statutory mandate of advancing the profession and the practice of the members, to promote the rule of law, good governance and access to justice, 3, advise government on matters of the law and incidental to the law. But also, Council is also deliberate on concentrating on what they've been able to do in the first year, build on that to improve. However, stakeholder engagement has still been key on the agenda of Council, where they will continue engaging the various stakeholders to improve access, to improve and make our mandate feasible. Okay. So it's continuous work, picking from where we ended last year, and we are picking on to be able to deliver on our mandate, and Council is steadfast on that. All right. Mr. Okwalinga, you're going to have to wrap this up by telling us, you said the symposium tomorrow will be virtual. It will be virtual. Okay. Just so that means whoever will want to be part of it will have to be online via Zoom. Yes, via Zoom, and we shall have also access on YouTube and other online channels. And we encourage all members Lawyers will definitely be part, but also other members of the public can access through the other platforms.
Okay. Moses Okwalinga, the Chief Executive Officer at Uganda Law Society, many thanks for that submission and perspective that has, of course, emboldened our understanding of your work, but most importantly, in the fight to advance human rights in the country. The symposium, like he says, will be virtual and is on tomorrow. And of course, the 17th will be marking the last day of a week that has been dubbed the Annual Law Week. Stay with us. Our discussions continue. In the Kickstarter, we have the domestic politics and international crises and how best Uganda can find its footing. Stay with us. I'll be right back.